Hey, everybody, it's Mr. Greg. Welcome to another episode of Elevate Live. We're so excited that you're here. I'm excited tonight to get to hang out and talk to our friend Rebecca Tate. Hey, Rebecca, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. So it's 9 o'clock Central Time, and I told Rebecca, I was like, I was laying in bed, I was all relaxed. She's like, yeah, that's the joy of being out west. It's not as late for you. So yeah. All right. So you told me a little bit before we went live that you are near Death Valley, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what is your what's the highest temperature that you will experience?
I've since I've lived here, it's been up to 140.
Like do you like no, like you just have to stay inside. Like you can't leave the house.
You really can't know. The
That's wild.
the year was so hot. It was like we were just because we start school early, so it was like 120, and we didn't have air on the buses. So luckily, we worked and got bus air on our buses because 100. It's still 100 degrees in August here, and no air conditioning. It's like you might as well just it's
No
not fun.
thanks. Well, listen, we're glad that it's not 140. We're excited that you're here. I'm excited about this session because I am a huge advocate of art in the classroom. So I'm excited to talk to you. I'm excited about your Elevate session. I'm excited to see everyone joining us. As always, when we do our Elevate Lives, we are giving away a free registration to Elevate Virtual. All you have to do to enter tonight's giveaway is hit the share button and comment. The more you share, the more you comment, the more chances you have to win a free ticket to Elevate Virtual. So tell us, where are you? Where are you from? What grade do you teach? Are you on spring break? All the things. Um, I had another one I was gonna tell you. Oh, and of course, if you have questions and comments about art and STEAM in the classroom, let us know in the comments. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. I know this is something that I think all teachers wish that we could do more of in the classroom. And I know it's something that we all struggle with, finding time, you know, pacing guides, curriculum. So I'm excited to hear Rebecca's thoughts on this because, like, if I could do it every day, I would do an art project every day with my kids. Doesn't always happen, but I do try to do a couple of art projects a week. And like, I know, Rebecca, you're going to talk a lot about integrating art. So talk a little bit about that. Like, if you could give somebody like the easiest, most simple thing about integrating art, what would you say?
Um, Connected to what you're learning about. Like when I did my student teaching in kindergarten, they had to do an art lesson because they didn't, but they still had to cover that standard, but they didn't get art. And we were talking about butterflies, and I said, hey, we can do, I could show them how to butterfly, and we could talk about how they're asymmetrical. So we threw in a vocabulary word on top of it, and I did that with the kids. And she's like, "That is awesome." The other teachers were like, "This is so awesome. You should teach kindergarten." I'm all like, but it's just simple like that. Like find an idea or go, "Hey, make a connection to what you're already doing." That's
Yeah, absolutely. Connecting it to that current learning, that current standard. That's one of the things that I do a lot is I do an art project like, you know, we just, St. Patrick's Day just happened. So it would be a St. Patrick's Day art project. And then I get the kids to talk because that's such a an area where our kids need more. They need more talking, more language, more vocabulary. And so when we're doing these art projects, we're talking. We're talking about the standard, the content, the book, the holiday, right? And building that language and building that vocabulary, asking questions. It's a great way to get kids to talk more.
yeah, and I work in an inclusive setting, so art sometimes becomes a not my less talkative becomes a way for them to express themselves without using language. So it's kind of like that freeing, open up, like, here, I know. I mean, I don't know how many kids I have. That's one of their first ways, and they're like smiling, all happy. Oh, wow, I really like, and I give them the vocabulary. Oh, I noticed that type of stuff. I think you're right. It definitely helps.
And I love well, and I think you just made such a good point. Like it's such a way for students to express themselves. Maybe they're not the strongest readers, right? Or maybe they're not the strongest at math, but maybe art is an area where they can succeed and excel and build that confidence, right? And so maybe they can't express themselves with words, but they can express themselves through art. And like you said, with that smile, letting us know that, like, oh, yeah, they did I'm proud of this. Look what I did. I love that. Like, it's it levels the playing field for so many kids.
Yeah. I,
The,
I just, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I just learned, I saw the value of art because of the demo, because of the kids and how much it does so much that it kind of has so much embedded learning in it that you kind of like small motor, this, that, the other, color. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, like sequencing, following directions, right? Fine
Hmm.
motor skills, like all of those things are happening. And we talk about this so much that our kids need those things more now than ever. And so art is a great way to do that. So Crystal is in the chat and she said, let them doodle. Sketchnoting for older kids is such a great tool. I love that. And I did a couple years ago, it might have been last year, I did a keynote for a school district in Arizona, and they had the coolest thing. They had an artist come in, and while I was talking for my keynote, she was sketching and doodling the keynote. And so we ended up with this huge banner of this visual display of all the things that I said in my keynote. And it was such a cool experience to see that come to life. And so I think for kids, especially older kids, that's a great way to bring in some art with even a more academic approach. Um, Before we go any further, I want to remind everybody, share, comment if you want to win a free ticket to Elevate Virtual. The more you share, the more you comment, the more chances you have to win. And I want to give Rebecca a moment to introduce herself to everyone.
Um, I am a pre-K teacher, but I have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in my classroom. I'm inclusive, which means I have children of all different abilities. We're we're also I have ELL students, children who are learning English as their first language. Um, and so it's kind of given me it gives that's one of my reasons that I really appreciate art because it's kind of like, especially if they're into art, it gets me into like, oh, like I said, I say, oh, I noticed you draw a picture of XYZ or, whatever they're doing with the art, whether
Right.
it's
Well,
Play-Doh. What
right.
are you
And well,
making?
yeah, most of my students are EL as well. And like you said, it gives them an opportunity to express themselves, even if they can't with words yet. Right. I love that. All right. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What is if you had to pick an art project that you've done with students, what is your favorite?
Oh my goodness. Um, wow. I would say we just did a science fair. Um, and I chose water because that was our theme/study, and they love making the bubbles, and then that became the basis of my books, that a book that I made. I like to make books after like that because then they get to look at it. They love looking at pictures of themselves and talk about what they did. But yeah, they love that. They were like, "Can we do it again?"
I love that.
So,
So I did a bubble project one time, and it's still one of the kids, like they would come when I would talk to them like later, when they're in second, third, fourth grade, they would still talk about it. And what I did was they had different cups, and everybody had their own cups and their own straws. Okay. Um, so what we did was we put the paint and a little bit of water and dish soap in the cup, and they would take the straw and they would blow bubbles. You know how they love to blow bubbles in their milk. So they would blow bubbles until the bubbles came up over the top of the cup. And as soon as the bubbles got over the top of the cup, they took their paper and put it on top and kind of smashed it. And when they lifted it, it left these really cool bubble prints on the paper. And they loved that. Of course, we had to be really explicit to blow the bubbles. Don't suck the bubbles. Of course, inevitably one kid did, like they would have the blue mouth because they didn't follow directions, but they love that one. And again, someone, Crystal, in the comments, the possibilities are endless with bubbles, right? All the things with bubbles. And like you talked about, your session is about STEAM and integrating. So we're going to incorporate now some science with the bubbles, right? And some art. So we can incorporate the two. Give us another art project that you love.
Another, I'm a little different. I actually, once the kids, I could see they use Play-Doh well, I pull out clay because clay is more tech. It takes a lot. They'll be like, wow, this is tough. And so that brings, especially with pre-K, brings a lot more of that language and that talking about the differences and the similarities. And then I'll be like, okay, if we let, and then I'll leave them in my window. And being in the desert, they try overnight, and then I'll let them pick. And that becomes another thing too, because I notice that kids have a harder time. That builds that, oh, we have to go back and do something, which goes ties in the kinder, because sometimes you're not going to be able to finish something in a day. You have to go back and do it again. So that gives me, there can't, they'll be, can I take it home? It's not dry. You have to wait. So it gets that, builds that standard of
I love that.
understanding and concept of time.
Right. That concept of time. Adeline, she's so cute. She says, instead of saying yesterday, she says last day. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much more. Like, I get that. Like, it's such a concrete thing for them. Okay, I have to. I'm going to make a confession, and I think I talked about this in my keynote at Elevate last year. I don't like Play-Doh. I don't. I know y'all, like, people are gonna like start sending hate comments now because I'm not a fan of the Play-Doh. I don't like it in my classroom. I just don't. So but I get like the clay projects. Those are so cool, right? Because they're different, right? And like you said, they're molding that clay. It's building those fine motor, and then that concept of time. I love that. All right, y'all, listen. We're talking to Rebecca Tate all about integrating art in the classroom, something I'm passionate about. Here's what I love is that Rebecca has been attending Elevate Virtual for years, and she's attended Elevate in person. And then she decided, hey, I want to be an Elevate presenter. And so she applied, and here she is. And so this is what Elevate is all about. It's about teachers, and it's about current active educators sharing their passion, sharing their expertise and their knowledge. And so I love that Rebecca is now gets to be on the other side of Elevate, right? And gets to share her joy and her passion. And if you want to hear more from Rebecca and all of our more than 30 presenters at Elevate Virtual, the links to register are in the comments and in the description. Just click those links, get registered now before that early bird price goes up. You're going to get keynotes from myself, Gary Brooks, Principal Lamb, more than 30 sessions, $500 in free downloads for your classroom, over $10,000 in prizes are being given away. You get a certificate of attendance, so you can submit that to get your hours. And it's 90 days virtual on-demand access beginning June 1st, which means you can watch anytime, anywhere, as much as you want during the 90 days. So it's not to be missed. Register now. We want to see you virtually this summer at Elevate Virtual. Rebecca is going to hook us up with all of these great art projects and these great ways to integrate art into our day. Okay. Crystal has a question for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. She says, Crystal wants to know why you love Elevate, or share what you loved about being at Elevate in person.
What I really appreciate about Elevate is that it's that pre-K through second grade, because we're forgotten. I hate to say it, but kindergarten, pre-K, first grade, we get thrown into the mix with third, fourth, fifth grade teachers, and it's not the same. It's different content. It's different kids. It's a different way, and it's not always valued. So it was really nice to feel valued and feel like I do have a place in education. I know that sounds funny, but that's just my
It
two
is.
cents.
No, that is absolutely. And let me tell you, I can't tell you how much that means to me, because that was something that have been incredibly intentional about with Elevate, because we know, just like you said, early childhood is forgotten when it comes to PD, right? We go to PD, we go to workshops, and it's all grades, and they're like, oh, this doesn't apply to you, or you can make this work, and we're like, no, we can't, right? And so we wanted a space, and we knew there was a need, right? We knew that there was a need for this space for early childhood. And so we get asked every year, like, you should go to fifth grade, you should go to middle school. And we're like, no, because we are early childhood educators, and we want to be there to support our community, because we know there's a need. And like you said, we're special, we're unique. And so we wanted PD that benefited our people, and early childhood educators. All educators are our people, but early childhood educators have our heart. And so that really does mean a lot to me, that that's what you love about Elevate. All right, Casey, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Casey Pillars wants some more ideas. So give us another STEAM idea or art idea that you can share with us.
Um, another thing that I just pushed myself to do this year, we did an artist study, and that's something new for me. And I did kind of a mixture of your directed drawing and use the artist picture, because our school is doing an art walk right before we have our spring break. And I like their my I anytime my principal's like, I'm doing XYZ, I'm like, can pre-K do it, because I want us to feel a part of the building,
I love that.
and part of the school. And so I did that, and I was immensely surprised, and they just loved it, and they're still like kind of exploring it and asking questions about stuff. So it's kind of like it's opened more doors to go do other artists. Like now they're asking like, who drew these pictures in the book? I've always said the illustrator, but now they really want to know, and I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, and that's like making that connection to the illustrator as an artist is such a concrete connection for them, right? And it's such a great way to like talk about, maybe someday you could be an artist, you could be the illustrator of the book, right? I love that. We've done some, not necessarily like artist studies, but we've done, like, we'll do projects and we'll learn about the artist. And one of the ones that happened a few years ago is that here in Nashville, our botanical gardens was doing an exhibit of Chihuly, the glass. And so we were going to take the kids to go. And so we learned a little bit about Chihuly and about how he made his the glass. And so then what we did, we went and we visited, we saw the sculptures, the kids loved it. It was, amazing. And then what we did when we came back was we did our own Chihuly art project. So what I did was I took coffee filters, the kids colored them with markers. Then what I did was I put the coffee filters on a styrofoam bowl with a rubber band, held it in place. And for days, I just sprayed those coffee filters with starch, laundry starch, and it would dry. And I would spray it again, like for days and days. I would just keep spraying, let it dry, spray, let it dry, spray, let it dry. And finally, after several days, I cut the rubber band off, and the coffee filter was now stiff. And so when it slid off the bowl, it had the bowl shape, and it looked like a piece of Chihuly art, kind of the same way he did his glass bowls. And so the kids loved that they got to kind of create their own version of Chihuly. And because we had learned about him, we had seen his art, and now they got to do something similar. It was a great way for them to make those connections.
Yeah, and that's what it was because I was like doing I'm like, I asked them, like, do you guys want to do hot or cold? Because it's Amelia Pelez. She's a Cuban artist. And that's what she did one for the front and one for the back. And I said, so what do we want to start with? And so that we had a, discussion about what are warm colors versus cold. So that's a good conversation because it's not just art, but it's also like other things go into that.
That's right.
So
And again, we're learning the language, the vocabulary. We're talking about the content, the standards. I love that. All right, y'all. We have a few more minutes with Rebecca, so I want to remind you to hit the share button and comment. We're going to here in a few minutes. I'm going to give away a free registration to Elevate Virtual. All you have to do to enter is share and comment. And I want to remind you to click those links to get registered for Elevate Virtual. That $40 early bird price. First of all, $40 for everything you get at Elevate Virtual. Come on, you can't beat it. Like, really, what are you waiting for? Click the link, do it now, because that is early bird price. It's going to go up at the end of the month. Keynotes from Gary Brooks, Principal Lamb, more than 30 content sessions from current active educators who understand teaching, the hard parts, the good parts, and everything in between. They're going to share ideas that work, that are research-based, classroom proven, and easy to implement, because we get it. We know what teaching is like. And so everything that you learn at Elevate can be implemented immediately the next day. You're going to get hundreds of dollars in free resources for your classroom. You could win over $10,000 in prizes. You're going to get a certificate of attendance, so much more. And you have it for 90 days from June 1st to August 31st, virtual on-demand access. So you can watch anytime, anywhere, as much as you want, wearing whatever you want, drinking whatever you want, going to the bathroom whenever you want. So click the links, get registered, get those tickets, and keep commenting and keep sharing, because I'm going to give away a free registration here in a few minutes. Michelle says, and I love this too, Michelle says, I always teach my students, quote, there are no mistakes when creating art. And it's absolutely true. One of my favorite memories is we did when we do the Three Billy Goats Gruff, we had the kids create their own troll. And like they start with a piece of construction paper. So, most of the trolls are about that big. A couple years ago, one of my little friends ended up creating a troll. It was like this big. But I was like, but you know what? It had eyes, the mouth, it had all the details. It was just that big. And I was like, you know what? It is perfect and beautiful. What more could you ask for, right?
yeah.
All right, Rebecca, give us a quick sneak peek into what your Elevate Virtual session is going to talk about.
Well, I'm going to be pulling pulling out science, a little bit of technology, engineering, and math, and like, um, I'm doing a presentation and I have ideas that I've already, like you've used in the classroom that I know work that get the kids engaged. And sometimes it's the best way that I get to have small group because sometimes otherwise they're like, I don't want to. But if I pull out, when I pulled that bubbles, my table was full of every kid. There was no small group. It's everybody because they all wanted to do it. So that's what I try to do. I try to find stuff that I know will draw the kids in, make them want, that they're learning skills and having fun, because I think that's the number one goal. Because if I can make them enjoy and want to learn and that they want to come to school, then I always say I did a good job. So that's what I hope to do with presenters, like give them a whole bunch of tools and hopefully they'll get some ideas. One of my things that I always do that I appreciate is when presenters like me give the resources where they get some of their ideas, because what I do may be what I think, but you may think a total different way and go, oh my gosh, I never thought that. And so I tend to do my last page is like all the places that I go to get ideas, and being
I love that.
rural remote and the closest store to me is 50 minutes. Believe me, the internet's my friend.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I think that's kind of a great place to wrap up, is what you said, is we want the kids to have fun because we want them to enjoy school. We want them to enjoy learning, and we want to create those memories. And when they're having fun and when they love school and they enjoy learning, it's a lot easier to teach them. So Absolutely love that. And I can't wait for your session. Like I said, I'm a huge fan and advocate of more art in the classroom. And I'm always looking for ideas for art projects in the classroom. So I can't wait to steal some of your ideas and bring them into my classroom next year. So everybody, what are you waiting for? It's been a great night. Lots of ideas. I'm loving all of the comments about art. Michelle, I put your comment up on the screen, but I want to point it out. I love this. Take art walks. When the class is all done with the work, have the kids walk around and learn to compliment the other artist. Love that. Love that. Like, how powerful is that? And I will say, when we do art projects, what happens is they always get displayed in the classroom or in the hallway. And you know what my kids ask me? Are you going to hang it up so people can see it? And when can I take it home? You know why? They're proud of that art and they want to show it off. And like Rebecca said, that's what we want, right? That fun, that joy. That's what we're trying to do. And Crystal, you're right. I'm going to steal all of Rebecca's ideas, except the ones that involve Play-Doh.
I understand.
No Play-Doh. All right. Let's see who our winner is tonight. So Kelsey's shocked about your 50 minutes away from a store. She said, I take the store being less than 10 minutes from my house and 5 minutes from school for granted, for sure. I think we all do. So more way to go, Rebecca. And it gets to be 140 degrees. No thanks. Glad you can do it. Glad you can do it. All right, let's grab us a winner and let's see. If I call your name, if you're the winner, you need to email jason@elevateyourclassroom.com to claim your free registration. Again, you'll email. Y'all, I wish you could see. Let me see if I can do this, because you have to see who it chose as a winner. This is funny. Let's see. There you go. Can you see that? Listen, we love you, Elevate, but you can't win. All right. So let's try that again. Oh, that was good. All right. This is a YouTube viewer, someone who's watching us on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Sherry Daniels, 6379. Sherry Daniels, 6379. You want a free registration to Elevate Virtual. Sherry, make sure to email jason@elevateyourclassroom.com and he will take care of your registration for you. Congratulations, Sherry. Once again, we want to see you all in person this summer in Vegas. Rebecca, are you going to be there?
We'll see.
I'm gonna take that as a yes. And we'll be in Dallas, and we'll be right here in Nashville for our very, very special Elevate Back to the Schoolhouse, which I'm really excited about. It's a small, intimate experience, 300 people or so, and we're hosting it in a historic schoolhouse in the historic gym of this schoolhouse. I'm so excited about this because I think we need to get away from these things, right, and get back to teaching. So that's what Elevate Your Back to the Schoolhouse is going to be all about. So we want to see you in person. We want to see you virtually this summer. So the links to register for Elevate Virtual are in the description and the comments. Click those links. Join us. 90 days virtual on-demand access, which means you can access the content as much as you want for 90 days. Keynotes from Gary Brooks, Principal Lamb, amazing content sessions, more than 30 sessions, free downloads, hundreds of dollars of freebies for your classroom, $10,000 in giveaways, a certificate of attendance, and so much more. We can't wait to see you all virtually and in person this summer. Rebecca, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad that you have now moved from an Elevate attendee to an Elevate presenter. We love that, and we can't wait to learn more from you this summer. Everyone else, thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for all that you do for your students, your school, your community, and our profession. We are honored to be an educator alongside all of you. Thank you. Have a great night, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.